This was supposed to be the safest place on Earth. But on May 24th, peace was shattered. Ibrahim Traoré, a man feared by some and followed by many, walked into the UN, and nearly didn't walk out. What happened inside those marble halls is still hard to believe, until you see the footage. In the global epicenter of diplomacy, within the walls of the United Nations itself, the unthinkable happened. An assassination attempt on Traoré's life. A place of peace, transformed into a stage of chaos. But the cameras, the cameras recorded every single second of that terrifying moment. Prepare to understand how the unthinkable almost became reality in one of the world's most secure places. We're about to dive into the details. And if narratives that expose the behind-the-scenes of crucial events, captured by technology, spark your interest and desire for knowledge, consider following our work. Every story here is a piece of the global puzzle. The environment seemed immune to the chaos of the outside world, a sanctuary of negotiations and debates, where the great issues of humanity were supposed to be resolved through dialogue and mutual cooperation. It was a day like any other at the United Nations headquarters, the constant hum of delegates, diplomats, and staff echoing through the polished marble corridors, under the discreet watch of security believed to be impenetrable, a symbol of the hope that reason would always prevail over brute and destructive violence. In this setting of apparent tranquility and order, Traoré was present, a figure whose importance transcended borders, whose actions and words resonated in halls of power and sometimes, in hearts oppressed around the globe, a man carrying the weight of great responsibilities and, inevitably, the inherent risk to those who challenge established power structures or fight for causes that trouble powerful and often hidden interests, whose presence there was more than just protocol. Traoré represented a discomforting voice for many, someone who did not hesitate to expose inconvenient truths or fiercely advocate for justice in complex and dangerous scenarios, a figure who embodied hope for some and a direct threat for others, and it was precisely this duality of perception about him that made him a potential target. A focal point for the anger or despair of those who saw him as an insurmountable obstacle in their own plans or objectives. That specific day was filled with crucial engagements for Traoré, perhaps a high-level meeting on a sensitive topic, a speech that could alter the course of important negotiations, or simply a series of strategic encounters that put him in direct contact with influential global figures, a day meticulously planned, where every step and every word were calculated, but where, beneath the calm surface, an invisible danger lurked, awaiting the right moment to manifest itself. Security at the UN headquarters is legendary, a fortress designed to protect world leaders and their representatives, with multiple layers of control, stringent checks, cutting-edge technology, and highly trained personnel, creating an environment where the idea of a violent attack seems almost impossible, a bubble of safety in the heart of a bustling metropolis. A place where one breathes a sense of almost palpable invulnerability. The reason for Traoré's presence there at that moment was particularly sensitive, perhaps linked to peacekeeping efforts in a troubled region, to denunciations of human rights violations that touched upon open wounds, or to financial negotiations that could greatly impact shady interests, a motive that elevated the level of inherent risk to his visit, making him more visible and, paradoxically, more vulnerable than he might have been in other contexts. Rumors and tensions often followed Traoré like a shadow, whispers about threats received, veiled warnings of imminent danger, the constant awareness that his actions had consequences and could generate deep and lasting enmities, a heavy psychological burden that, although always present, seemed to dissipate slightly within the solidity and protection that the walls of the UN promised to offer all its illustrious visitors. The atmosphere before the attack was, therefore, deceptively calm, people rushing between meetings, cordial greetings being exchanged in the corridors, the soft sound of different languages mingling, journalists waiting at designated points, a routine of diplomatic work in full swing, where minds were focused on agendas and resolutions. Far from any thought about the possibility of physical violence erupting in that sacred space. The exact location within the vast UN complex where the attack occurred would later be scrutinized in detail, a specific corridor, the entrance to a busy conference room, a transition area where the flow of people was constant, a point which, despite the overall security of the building, proved to be momentarily vulnerable, the precise place where the routine would break abruptly and shockingly, before the eyes of the world. Even if initially in a silent manner. In the final seconds before the aggression, Traoré was likely engaged in conversation, reviewing documents, or simply walking calmly to his next engagement, completely unaware of the danger furtively approaching, enjoying the sense of safety that the location provided, without imagining that the peace of that day was about to be violated in the most brutal and unexpected way. In a place that was supposed to be above such threats. Then, without warning, the calm was torn apart by a sudden eruption of violence, a moment of pure and absolute shock that shattered the order and serenity that characterized the environment, an instant when the brutal reality of the outside world invaded that sanctuary of peace, catching everyone by surprise, transforming a diplomatic corridor into a stage for an assassination attempt. With terrifying and unexpected speed and ferocity, the assailant emerged from the crowd or from a blind spot, an individual whose determination to cause harm overcame all security barriers, a dark reminder that malicious intent can sometimes find a way to penetrate even the most robust fortifications, an act of astonishing and terrifying audacity, carried out in the heart of a global institution that symbolizes the hope for a future without such acts of barbarity and despair. Traoré's immediate reaction was a mixture of instinctive confusion and the sheer force of survival instinct, perhaps a quick movement to protect himself, an attempt to dodge the blow or the projectile, possibly aided by his own security detail who, although caught off guard, reacted in the heat of the moment, trying to create a protective barrier. In a sudden and unexpected chaos that demanded immediate and decisive action. Around, chaos erupted among those present, screams of panic echoing through the corridors, people scrambling away from the danger, seeking shelter behind pillars or doors, the scene of widespread panic violently contrasting with the usual composure of the place, a visceral demonstration of fear in the face of the unexpected threat. A reminder that human fragility persists even in the most controlled and secure environments, when confronted with explicit violence. The weapon used, whatever it was employed with lethal intent, the clear objective being to take Traoré's life, and the way it was handled indicated a cold calculation, a singular purpose that ignored the diplomatic setting and the presence of countless witnesses, focused solely on fulfilling its grim objective, a tool of death wielded in a place where the life and well-being of billions of people are discussed. The exact moment the aggression struck Traoré, or nearly did, was breathtaking, a split second that separated life from death, a physical impact or the absence of it, the near certainty of the end being deflected by inches or a quick reflex, luck or providence intervening at that critical instant, leaving in its wake the indelible mark of what could have been, a premonition of tragedy avoided by a thin thread. The UN security staff and Traoré's personal protection reacted with remarkable speed, despite the initial surprise, rushing towards the danger, trying to neutralize the assailant, controlling the situation with trained procedures, even under intense pressure, and in the midst of rising panic, their decisive action being crucial to contain the threat and protect the target. A demonstration of bravery and professionalism amidst the prevailing and overwhelming chaos. On the ground, the immediate scene was one of confusion and relief, the assailant subdued or in flight, injured or shocked individuals receiving assistance, the adrenaline starting to subside, giving way to perplexity and indignation, the stain of the attack visible in the previously pristine location, a shocking reminder that violence can erupt at any moment and anywhere, defying all established expectations and protocols for peace. Inside the building, news of the attack spread like wildfire, replacing routine with a heavy atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Corridors that had buzzed with activity were now paralyzed, the sense of inviolability vanishing in an instant, replaced by the harsh reality that not even the walls of the UN were an absolute guarantee against the forces that wished to cause harm and disrupt the established and carefully maintained order. Traoré's condition was quickly assessed, the initial relief at his survival mixing with concern for any injuries suffered, even minor ones, the realization that he had narrowly escaped a fatal fate, but that the experience would mark him forever, a survivor of an act of terror in the heart of world diplomacy, a testament to his resilience and the fragility of the peace that everyone strove to build and preserve. Throughout the United Nations complex, an intricate surveillance system operates non-stop, hundreds of electronic eyes strategically positioned to monitor the flow of people, ensure security, and record everything that happens in its vast corridors, lobbies, meeting rooms, and outdoor areas, a silent network of observation serving as an invisible guardian of the site's security and everyone who passes through it. A technology designed for prevention and detailed recording. There was a camera, or perhaps a set of them, positioned in such a way that it captured the exact spot where the action unfolded, a crucial perspective that, unbeknownst to those involved at the time, was recording every movement, every reaction, every detail of that shocking attack, a privileged angle that would transform the perception of the event, providing an objective and irrefutable record of a moment many would like to erase from collective memory. The instant violence erupted, the camera did not flinch, registering the abrupt transition from normality to chaos, the figure of the assailant appearing rapidly, the surprise on the faces of nearby people, Traoré's attempt to protect himself, all captured in continuous frames, technology serving as an impartial and relentless witness, recording history as it happened, with a cold and dispassionate accuracy. What the footage clearly and shockingly revealed was the exact sequence of events, the identity, or at least the appearance of the assailant, the method used, the speed of the aggression, and how Traoré managed, by luck or skill, to avoid the worst, the video providing a visual account that confirmed or refuted witness testimonies, becoming the centerpiece in the reconstruction of what truly happened in that UN corridor. In addition to capturing the main action, the cameras also recorded the surrounding reactions, the panic spreading among the innocent, the swift, yet uncoordinated reaction of the first responders, the mass arrival of security, the different angles complementing each other to create a complete panorama of the scene, showing not just the attack itself, but also the immediate human impact of that sudden and terrifying violence. The footage became the definitive proof, the bedrock of the investigation that would follow, eliminating the ambiguity that often surrounds chaotic and violent events, providing unquestionable visual evidence that could be analyzed frame by frame, revealing details that would go unnoticed by the naked eye in the heat of the moment. An essential tool for justice and for a precise understanding of how security was breached on that fateful and troubling day. The clarity with which the footage depicted the assassination attempt was unsettling, showing the lethal intent with a rawness that deeply impacted the near miss, the target's vulnerability despite the protections, the assailant's audacity in performing such an act in such a heavily monitored location, a sight that sent shivers down the spine, demonstrating how close tragedy came to materializing and how fragile security barriers can be when confronted with such determination. Quickly, or at least within security and investigation circles, the footage became the primary focus, being reviewed countless times, shared among agencies, and serving as the basis for efforts to identify the assailant and thoroughly understand the logistics of the attack, the visual record transforming into an invaluable resource, fundamental for unraveling the mystery surrounding the assassination attempt and its potential masterminds. The existence and effectiveness of the UN surveillance network, despite not preventing the attack, proved crucial for the post-event response, validating the investment in technological security, showing that even when the worst happens, the ability to record and analyze can be the key to justice and to future improvements in protocols, proof that technology, though not infallible, plays a vital role in modern security and its continuous evolution. More than just actions, the cameras also captured the human expression of the moment, the fear in the eyes of witnesses, the determination of security, Traoré's surprise and resilience, transforming the technical record into a human document of the event, a visual testament to the emotions experienced in that instant of crisis, showing the complexity of human reactions in the face of imminent danger and unexpected violence that emerged. After the initial shock, the UN complex went into maximum alert, sealed off, as a multifaceted investigation was quickly launched, involving not only the internal security of the United Nations, but also the local police authorities of the host city, in addition to international intelligence agencies, in an urgent coordination to understand how security could be breached and who was behind that bold and criminal act that shook the foundations of the organization. The surveillance camera footage instantly became the most valuable piece of the puzzle, a wellspring of visual information that allowed investigators to reconstruct the assailants' movements from the moment they entered the building, track their route, identify potential accomplices or support points, and analyze the exact way the attack was executed, transforming hours of recording into a detailed timeline of events, crucial for a complete understanding of what transpired. The process of identifying the assailant using the footage was intense and methodical, comparing faces with databases, analyzing physical characteristics, searching for clues about their origin or affiliations, the video providing the clear image that witnesses in the heat of the moment might not have accurately registered. A fundamental piece for putting a name and a face to the individual who attempted to silence an important voice on the global stage and disrupt world peace. Inevitably, the incident raised serious questions about the effectiveness of UN security protocols, questioning how someone with nefarious intentions managed to penetrate such a heavily protected environment, whether there were failures at control points, whether the surveillance technology was sufficient, or whether, more disturbingly, there was some form of internal assistance that facilitated the assailant's entry and movement within the premises. Traoré's reaction after surviving was one of remarkable resilience and determination, despite the obvious trauma, refusing to be silenced or intimidated by the attempt on his life, the experience reinforcing his conviction in the importance of his work and the need to continue fighting for the causes he defended, transforming the vulnerability felt into strength and a renewed motivation to persevere, sending a clear message that violence would not prevail over his ideals and his mission. News of the attack caused a wave of international shock and condemnation, world leaders expressing solidarity with Traoré and the UN, reaffirming the importance of the organization's work and the need to protect those who serve the cause of peace and global cooperation, a grim reminder of the dangers faced by human rights defenders and political figures in high-tension contexts, even in locations considered safe and protected. The UN itself responded seriously to the attack, announcing a complete review of its security procedures, strengthening protection measures for visitors and staff, and pledging full cooperation with authorities in the investigation, seeking to restore confidence in the organization's ability to ensure security within its facilities, learning from the failures exposed by the incident to prevent future breaches that might occur. The long-term impact on Traoré's life was profound, the assassination attempt forever changing his perception of safety and his way of interacting with the world, increasing the vigilance around him, but paradoxically, also raising his profile and the visibility of his cause, making him a symbol of resistance against those who use violence to silence dissenting voices or inconveniently important to the existing global status quo. The event left a somber legacy, a reminder that evil can lurk anywhere, even in the strongholds of diplomacy and peace, but it also highlighted the critical importance of surveillance technology in the modern age, not just as a security tool, but as a means of recording the truth, ensuring accountability, and providing clarity in moments of chaos, demonstrating that the presence of cameras can be a decisive factor. In the end, Traoré's story is a powerful narrative of survival and resilience, a tale captured in cruel and irrefutable detail by the cameras that witnessed that moment of horror, a reminder of the fragility of the peace we all seek and the determination of those who, like Traoré, refuse to yield to fear, showing that even when confronted with darkness, the light of life and courage can prevail, and the truth, often, is caught by the cold, objective lens of a security camera that records everything. This type of story, revealed by the electronic eyes of security, shows us the world as it truly is, with its dangers and its unexpected twists. If you felt the power of this narrative, if you value the exposure of truth behind major events, and if you want to follow other fascinating stories that technology helps us uncover, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, leave your like to show us you appreciate this type of content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement is essential for us to continue bringing these stories to you.